Hello everyone, and welcome to the Dice Commando YouTube channel. I'm Andrew, with you here as always. This is the Commando Cast, a video cast about all things Star Wars Destiny. This video and others like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. Please show your support with a like and subscribe, and be sure to hit the bell notification icon so you don't miss any new videos. If you want to get involved with the channel, consider becoming a channel member. There are many benefits to channel membership, including access to our Discord, exclusive deck tech and strategy videos, and the opportunity to help create channel content. I want to sincerely thank all our channel members, as I truly couldn't do this without your support. You guys rock. Go Commando.
Hola mis amigos, bienvenidos a la Dice Commando. Ahora yo hablo de la barrillas, del idioma en el Star Wars Destiny. Hello everyone, welcome back. Happy Friday. I hope everyone's week was well. I'm actually looking forward to this weekend. In the United States, it's our Independence Day holiday. Get an extra day off. I get to go hang out with my family and really looking forward to it. You know, even if you're not in the US, I hope you still have a great weekend and can enjoy it. So today's intro, I did it in Spanish, kind of. Not well, but it was in Spanish, right? So the question I have to ask, right, is, did you understand the intro? Many of you out there probably did, right? No problem. Some of you out there, if you're like me, kind of probably understood it. You have kind of a basic understanding of at least one other language. And some out there had no idea, right? And that's the topic of today, is I want to talk about language in Star Wars Destiny. And I don't mean the way we write the cards as much as literally we are a global game. We have people from literally around the globe who speak many, many different languages who play this game. And I think especially for those of us who are English-based speakers or, very similar to that, a lot of times we take for granted how easy it is to play the game, or how much easier it is, I should say, to play and understand the game, because you don't have to actually work to understand what the cards do. And I want to start today with a story of really what inspired this cast. So in our last Dice Commando team tournament, Dice Commando member Darlian, she's from Brazil. She's a great player. I've played her multiple times in the past. She's a lot of fun. She's a great community member. And I know she wouldn't mind me telling this story. So she was featured in 2 rounds of the last Dice Commando tournament, where I got to see her play. And she was playing Benthic and Stay Ahead. And in the first game, there were a couple instances where I was like, oh, that's interesting. She claimed and didn't use the Stay Ahead ability. And I didn't really think much of it. I thought maybe there was something else going on. Because I think what had actually happened, she had resolved her dice instead of like doing the early claim to throw the damage. But it wasn't until the final round when she was playing against Mando, she had an opportunity to actually kind of do an early claim and throw a die and actually drop Mando. And she didn't do that. So after the tournament, what I asked was, I was like, it's interesting you had an opportunity to do this. Why did you not do that? And in the conversation with her, it came out that she actually didn't understand that the card said, when you claim you do it. She thought that the card said, if you control the battlefield, you can do it. And it really hit me, because I was like, man, I don't have to think about stuff like that. And there's a couple points I want to hit today, and I wrote them down, because this is actually a very important episode for me. So I really hope I do it justice, right? There are a couple things I want to cover, right? The first is the increased global language presence that we've had in Star Wars Destiny. The second is really kind of the impact of that in the hampered learning to kind of our shift in being tournament-based interactions versus casual-based interactions. And the last then being kind of the thesis statement is the importance of, even within the tournament play, of us reaching across the table and making sure that our opponent, as a community, our opponent understands what's happening, right, at every level, whether it be language-based or not. So to put this in perspective, I mean, I think everybody can understand the difficulty of trying to read some of these cards if you don't understand the primary language of English. Right now, let's be very clear. FFG at one point used to, and again, to be very clear, I'm not casting stones, right? FFG at one point printed cards in multiple languages. They had ratcheted some of that back, but it has always been a primarily English printed game. Like, that's not undeniable. ARH has actually reached out on many of their past sets and had them translated. Now, it takes time for that to happen, which of course causes delays, such as the one last weekend, right? Where, the understanding just wasn't there, and it wasn't her fault. That was just, I mean, I imagine, because I don't speak Portuguese, I'm sorry, but the issue there of not understanding directly how the card translates. And just to put that in perspective to everybody, I'm going to throw up one of my favorite cards of all time, sarcasm, Viper Probe Droid, right? The Star Wars Destiny community at large, the English-speaking Star Wars Destiny community at large, did not understand actually how this card read versus played for a significant portion after the card's release. Now imagine you don't speak the language in which that card was printed in, right? I mean, put yourself in that position. How difficult is that? Now, that's not something that many of us as gamers have to deal with on a often frequent basis, because we go to our LGS, you play games with people across the table. But Star Wars Destiny is different. Now, I want to be very clear here. I'm not saying I'm not saying we haven't always been a global community. We've obviously always been a global community. But we've become more frequently global. I don't know the better way to say that. Again, like I said, I'm just shooting from the hip here. I'm trying to kind of express my feelings, and I'm trying to pick my words carefully here, right? But as the game has decreased, there has been an increased presence in terms of repeated impact, repeated participation of individuals that don't have English as their primary language, right? I mean, I wrote some of them down. I'm sure I'm going to miss them. Just within Dice Commando team itself, we have members from Brazil, from Germany, from Finland, from Greece, from England, Australia, Canada, French Canadians, which, I watch Letterkenny. Apparently that's a different country. No jokes there. And we also have people from Alabama, also a joke, directed at Entourage Gaming, because they know they can take it. Love you guys. All right, but still, right? The point here is, as the community, right, when Star Wars Destiny was full on going, we used to have nationals in all these different countries, right? We had the Czech, we have the Czech guys, right? The Czech guys, not Czech guys, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry, I apologize for that. The Hungary guys, right? The Hungary guys. We used to have the Czech nationals, the Hungary nationals. We used to have nationals all over the place. And now that ARH has been out, right? ARH is our driving community. We are a singular global community, right? When an event is held, it's not, 5 dudes from Portland, Oregon anymore. It's people from literally around the globe. So the importance of us understanding the challenges that our partners, our friends, our community members have in trying to understand the literal what's written on the card is very important for us to wrap our heads around and try to understand. Now, the next step of that, right, my number 2 item is that our shift from casual, and when I use the word competitive here, I want to be very clear. This is not there's the competitive side and the casual side. That's not what this is, right? But our daily interactions with other Star Wars Destiny players in the community at large has shifted in the last 6 months to a year to be primarily tournament-based, meaning Entourage is holding an event, meaning Echo Base is holding an event, meaning Dice Commando is holding an event, or it's a large ARH event, right? Whatever it may be, it's not about it being competitive or not, but it is a event in which people are counting their wins and losses, right? So if you were at a bar, at a pub with your friend and they didn't understand the card, if they were to make that play, you might be like, are you sure you know how that works, right? That's something that we frequently would do to our friends, to our buddies, or whatever. And even though we may not be in the most competitive of setting, right? We use the Dice Commando tournaments, even though they're not the most competitive tournaments, you're still tracking wins and losses. So you're not necessarily in the moment going to point out an opponent's suboptimal play, right? And what I'm driving at here, hopefully successfully, is that as the globalization of Star Wars Destiny, the globalization of the Star Wars Destiny community, I should say, as our interactions have become more global on a weekly, even on a daily basis, right? It will naturally increase the interactions between those who don't necessarily speak the same language. And sometimes on TTS that's fine. You just point and hit tab and there's a little arrow there. But then you run into the issues like the reference story I had with Darlian. And again, Darlian, thank you for being a sport here. Hopefully hopefully you understand that I'm actually using this example to hopefully highlight something, improve things. So whatever. My overall takeaway here, folks, is that again, I don't have data to back up that the number of non-English speakers playing in tournaments is increased over time or whatever. Right? That's not even what I'm driving at. But my point is that as we as a global community continue forward, I want to highlight the fact that not everybody does have the same advantage necessarily that natural English speakers do, and that in many cases, since our only interactions are oftentimes in tournaments, it's okay. And I want to encourage people to kind of take that pause and be like, hey, you're a good player, but there was an obvious misplay there, right? In the Darlian case, and that's why I want to use this. It's a perfect example. She's a great player, and it was kind of an obvious miss, and I should have internalized that at the time, and I could have saved her if I had taken action several rounds before. I could have saved that mistake instead of finding out about it afterwards, right? And that's what I would like to encourage others within the Destiny community to do, even in game, even actively. Just say, hey, just want to check in and make sure that we're on the same page with the interaction here. Or I just want to check in and make sure we're on the same page with how we understand this works, and have it out there, right? I mean, I believe that in the long run, I mean, I'm not talking about necessarily like the final or something, right? But in Swiss, when you're playing somebody on TTS, whether it be tournament or not, right, reach out and say, hey, do we understand? Are we on the same page? I think that's a perfectly reasonable place for us as the community to go, right? I mean, we are, we're trying to survive, and we're all buddies here trying to figure this out. So that's something that I've tried to take to heart, over the last week after that happened, and that's why it was very important for me to do this cast today. It was really point out, hey, let's be on the same page. Let's make sure we're, part of playing a game is that everyone's playing by the same rules. And that's why sometimes we get so frustrated with stuff like action cheating and stuff, as we feel like we're not playing the same rules. Well, imagine now how somebody feels when they thought that the card they put in their deck worked, and it doesn't work that way. I mean, we've all had that experience just because we misunderstood something. Now imagine if you misunderstood it because it was written in a different language, right? So that's all I'm trying to say today, is to try to put stuff in perspective from the other player on the other side, especially in a global event. And I want to give some big shout outs, right? I mean, one of the best, in my opinion, one of the best Destiny players out there right now is Moshfog from Greece. I hope I said that right. I know you told me how to say it at one point, and I'm sure I'm butchering it, right? But there are many, many high players, like very, very smart people, very, very good players in this game that are global, who don't speak English as their first language, and they're doing quite well. But there are other players who, and again, not every language is the same. Not every language is one-to-one, right? So what I'm encouraging the Star Wars Destiny community to do is try to keep that in the back of your mind and reach out. And just as if you would a new player that you were teaching across the table, doesn't matter if they're a super, and actually maybe even especially if they are a super great player and you see something a little weird, just say, hey, you know what? Let's make sure that we're on the same page here, and then we can go forward and we can play Destiny together. So that was it for me today, folks. Hopefully, like I said, this is very important to me. Hopefully I didn't screw it up. Hopefully I was clear in kind of what I was driving at. So thank you very much for joining me. Remember to, reach out to that person across the table, give them the virtual fist bump. Anyway, that's it for me today, folks. Thanks very much for joining me. Nothing else. Go Commando.